So, Mike?
Yes?
New year, new timer.
New timer. And we've been listening to folks. You can see our little digital timer here. And Joshua, our guest, if you don't hit the green button here, it'll at least keep us honest. All right, the new timer is fired off. So this timer is digital, notice. We got a lot of comments over the last couple of years about making these things digital. They don't like the fact that our show is basically dictated by a spring. So we've gone geek, and we've, I don't know if we've got any fancier, but at least we've got a digital timer. So we'll let this count our 10 minutes. When it beeps, we're over with.
Awesome. So you know what? We were remiss last week in our show because we didn't mention the most important thing about MIX this year, being at the Mandalay Bay.
Yes?
Wave pool and lazy river.
Ooh. See, now you're talking. Wave pool and lazy river. I haven't seen it. We went down for the site visit. I must have missed that.
Yep. It's going to be March, but I think it'll be, it's the desert. It could be warm enough.
Could be warm.
Yeah. And they named their lounge after us, too, right?
That's right. On the top floor of the Mandalay Bay is the MIX Lounge with a beautiful view of the Strip. It's awesome.
How cool is that? Now, I'm stuck on a bunch of geeks and designers and developers floating around in a pool right now.
It's a wave pool.
Wave pool! There we go. That'll make it better. That'll make it better.
So today we have our first guest on our first MIX show.
Yes.
Joshua. This is Joshua Allen, and he's in charge for the second year in a row of our workshops at MIX. So this is the pre-day, before the conference actually begins. We call it Day 0. And this will be Sunday, March 14th. And this is a full day of workshops where you pay a little bit of extra, $295, in addition to the main conference fee, to come in and get all this in-depth extra training. Yep. So Joshua's designed this, and tell us all about it.
Yeah, so what we try to do is, give some extra content that people can use, kind of more like a really in-depth class that they can build skills and take back to, to wherever they work and start applying them immediately. So, there's no product announcements, there's none of the kind of, showcasing demos and that kind of stuff. It's all just in-depth how to do stuff. And in fact, we've got the one workshop that's coming back again this year doesn't deal with any technologies at all. It's one of the popular ones from last year. It takes, if you're a developer and you want to get up to speed on designer concepts and how to go through the design process and so on, it's like a crash course in design for developers. Concepts and that sort of thing.
Is that Robbie Ingerbretson?
Yeah, that's Robbie Ingerbretson.
Robbie's great. He used to work at Microsoft, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, that's right. And in fact, I think he's working on a book on this topic as well. So, so there's that. We do have a session right after his that goes in depth on how to do design stuff using various tools. And this is, including all the expression tools, but it's also, Photoshop, Illustrator, just realistically the stuff that you would use as a designer.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, we keep talking about designer, and I know early on in the show we really haven't talked about it explicitly, but one of the things that's unique about the MIX conference is, of course, we focus a lot on design, user experience. It's not just a development conference for writing code. In fact, we spend a lot of time. Bill Buxton was a great example last year. Right. We had a showing of the movie Objectified, which is all about industrial design. We just really try to push design into the agenda.
Yeah, that was a great movie. So we have the kind of technology-oriented things like the Silverlight Boot Camp, the Windows Azure Boot Camp. So you can sign up for those kind of workshops. But I think the other thing that's cool about MIX is we tend to focus on web standards and interoperability with that sort of thing. So this year as well, we have Molly Holzschlag, who's the web evangelist at Opera, the browser vendor, and she's doing the full day workshop just on HTML5, which is the next version of HTML that's coming out. Covering all the new tags, new APIs, and how to use them and so on. So
a lot of interest in that workshop in particular.
Yeah.
So these are full day or half day? Is that what I heard you say?
Yeah. So we split them into 2 half-day chunks. So, for example, if you go see Robbie in the morning, you'll probably want to see Arturo talking about tools in the afternoon. With Molly's, there's 2 sessions back to back that cover kind of beginner stuff and then more advanced stuff. So it's a full day thing in that case. Yep.
So these are deeper I mean, because you've got the time, I'm assuming.
Yes.
You have the time also to treat things in a much deeper fashion.
Yes.
Whereas sometimes some of the sessions, a lot of them have to be overview sessions because they're an hour long.
That's right.
We even have 20-minute mini sessions this year like we did last year. They were very popular, and you can't get too deep there. But I'm guessing in the workshop, if you've got the whole day or at least 2 half days, you can really spend the time to get deep in some of these topics.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I think this is, one of the coolest things we saw last year is that, in Molly's workshop or Robbie's workshop, there was a ton of attendee interactivity where, you're there learning this topic in depth, but, you have the time, you can talk about this with the presenters. So.
Seriously?
Halfway point.
All right.
It's a warning.
I was going to say, what's this new timer doing? Halfway point. Is this when we stir you? Stir you. Yeah, we don't want you to burn on the edge of the pan. Sorry. It threw us off. We weren't ready for that.
Wow. Yeah.
So I want to talk about the price point because it's $300
Yep.
to attend this. That's a steal to me.
And by the way, it's an option thing, right? I can add it on to my conference attendance.
Completely
That's how
optional.
this works. Yeah.
And this is premium content that we will not be putting on the web. This is along with the rest of the conference content breakout sessions. We post it online, but this is special, and so you can't just get access to this. So when you think about it only costing another $300, that's really a good deal.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And the number of people that show up is kind of like a little mini conference. I remember PDC, one of the other events we do, the number of people who show up for a workshop on that kind of pre-day is like a mini conference almost.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of a different vibe, because people are, there's not all the events and stuff going on yet, and the people are there are, they're kind of heads down trying to learn stuff. So,
Right.
yeah.
Very focused.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned it's not so much a classroom style, it sounds like. I mean, somebody's probably presenting in the front, but there's a lot of interaction and discussion, it sounds like, that are engineered into these workshops.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and we try to pick workshop presenters who have that experience, doing these kinds of things, and so they're pretty good at that. Yeah.
The workshop's exciting.
What's your favorite workshop? If you could take the day and go to one, although you can't because you're running everything, which one would you attend?
I mean, just me personally, I would say Robbie's is awesome. He's got slides and stuff up there, but it's always pictures, and it's these really interesting, interesting and funny kind of illustrations, and no text on the bullet points, and he's just so good at presenting these concepts. But I think also, just personally, I think the HTML5 one is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, it'll be a big one.
Yeah, I mean, this is there's been a lot of speculation out there about what's going to happen with the which browsers are going to support it and which aren't, and the talk about HTML5 is going to kill Silverlight, which I think is kind of ridiculous. But that's where I think it's a pretty exciting topic, and it's coming out at this workshop.
And this is where you'd expect to hear about it. Now, I know you also do something else, right? You're a member of the content team, and you oversee a lot of the external sessions. What does that even mean, and what do you do there?
Well, so, when we started with MIX, one of our goals was always to have a large portion of the sessions delivered by external companies and even people that might compete with us. So, so far we have, people from Facebook, Amazon, Google, Twitter, you could just go down the list that are presenting sessions at MIX.
And these kinds of guys also are in attendance. I mean, if you look at the list of companies that show up, it's that kind of list, plus a lot of startups, individuals, things like that.
Yeah, and so, I mean, that was our goal, was that when you come to MIX, you're going to learn a lot about Microsoft technologies, but these coexist with all the stuff that these other companies are doing as well. So, so the goal is to get that kind of balance. I think we're like 30% external sessions or something. So yeah.
And I'm guessing, I don't know about by the time this video posts, because it might go up ahead of it, but I know you're kind of on the cusp of another big wave of publishing sessions.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a lot of these may show up.
Yeah. Yeah, and in fact, a lot of these will show up. We also have this open call vote that's coming up, where we had 170 sessions submitted by people from the community. And I was actually pretty surprised at the caliber of these submissions. There's some really cool topics there. And right now people are kind of going out and campaigning and trying to get their friends and neighbors and parents to vote for their sessions. And then we're going to take the top 8 sessions that the community votes for, and those are also going to be sessions. And the key thing there is all of these are external sessions as well. So people aren't voting on Microsoft-led sessions. These are just by design, designers and developers out there. In
And
the
we've
community.
had thousands of votes for these sessions.
Yeah.
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 So there's a lot of interest.
Yeah, several thousand votes at this point. So yeah.
And you've even seen, it sounds like, some people trying to maybe game the system.
Yeah,
a little
it's
bit.
I mean, it's actually a good sign when people are
Yeah.
we
They're enthused. I mean, Twitter's
Yeah.
been lighting up, right?
Yeah.
There seems like lots of messages, lots of conversation. Vote for my session. Check out
Yeah.
this session.
Yeah, and for the most part, we've noticed a couple cases where it looked like people were trying to vote multiple times and are trying to set up bots or whatever. But for the most part, the these are